I've tried to be better about having like snacks between episodes that aren't like full meals so they don't take as long. And the snack of this week is Boom Chicka Pop. I like underestimated how sticky they make your fingers because I'm eating the
Oh
kettle
yeah.
corn one. I don't think I'm gonna run it back, honestly.
Hate. I hate kettle corn.
I know
Hate
that
it.
you do. I love kettle corn.
Oh my God, I find it like nauseatingly sweet. We went out with our friends last night and we started talking about like French fries.
Mm-hmm.
And Derek and I were both like, the best condiment to put on French fries is mayonnaise. I see your face. I understand. Have you been to Amsterdam?
I'm okay with mixing ketchup and mayo. And yes,
Well,
I
I
have
don't
been
like
to Amsterdam.
I don't like ketchup. Have you had hot steaming fries fresh out of the fryer, dipped into cold, not Hellman's? I'm going to be so clear about this, not Hellman's, but like good mayo. I truly think it's a transcendent experience. I truly think it's one of the best things in the world.
I could see like a garlic aioli being interesting, but not just like plain. I think
Well,
maybe I should just lead with I hate mayonnaise like on everything.
but like, have you had good mayo, like not Hellman's mayo?
I feel like I've been to restaurants that have good mayo on their sandwiches and I still hate it.
You still hate it?
I like okay, Chipotle aioli. Is aioli mayonnaise? If aioli
Yes,
is mayonnaise,
aioli is just mayonnaise with stuff mixed in.
okay, then I hate plain mayonnaise.
Okay, and I think that's fair. I still think a hot French fry dipped in a cold mayonnaise, and come at me in the comments, people. I'm fucking ready. Let's go. I think it's one of the best things in the world. Like I truly do. But then our friend, my friend had the same reaction that you did, and she's like, "I'm really judging you right now." And then she's like, "Ranch is the best thing to put on
What?
fries." Like, holy shit!
What?
What are you saying?
Ranch?
She's gonna be mad I brought this up. She does listen to this podcast sometimes.
Ranch? Actually, so I'm curious whether you have the same reaction. My actual go-to for French fries is sweet barbecue sauce. So maybe that's just as weird as ranch.
Like
Maybe Meg and I are
ketchup?
kindred spirits.
I have a big issue with sweet
And
anything.
salty?
No, I love sweet and salty.
That's
but
what
I find
it is,
like
though.
no,
Like a
I
French
know,
fry
I
is
know.
salty. Do you also not like French fries dipped in McFlurries?
No, I like a French fry dipped in a McFlurry. My issue with barbecue sauce and ketchup, both of them, is there's this like sweet cloyingness because they're made from corn syrup. They're not actually made with sugar or honey or maple syrup. And it's like,
True.
I just can't. I mean, you know how fucking bitchy I am about food these days and like what I will and won't eat. Like I just
Yeah.
can't do that flavor.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, now that everyone knows I'm a super picky eater, in my defense, I'll just let our listeners
I don't think
know.
it's
I used to work.
picky as much as it is like snooty almost. But I
Yeah.
respect you for it. It's okay.
I used to work in kitchens. I was a cook for 2 years. Like I used to eat like really good food every day. And I highly recommend never doing that. Don't do that, especially if you love food, because A, your palate will be completely fucked forever. Like you'll just have a really high standard and it'll be really hard to eat anything ever again that's not made in restaurants. But on the bright side, you get to make almost no money and never see your friends or family. So, it's great.
I'm also hearing maybe you'll just get skinny because you're gonna hate everything.
No, we are not doing that. We are not doing this. We are not fucking doing
Let's
this.
hash this live. Okay.
All right, hi.
Hi.
I'm Abby.
I'm Ronnie.
We're having a very real episode of Dragons in the Details today.
Woo.
A podcast where we usually pick apart our favorite fantasy series. Today we might be picking apart each other, though. We'll find out. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
let's see. Let's see. Wouldn't be the first time.
This series is focused on the Empyrean. Sorry, this season is focused on the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros. These episodes contain spoilers up through Onyx Storm. If you've not finished Onyx Storm, save this episode, and come back later. Due to the contents of this series, this podcast is rated R and should only be listened to by mature audiences. Each week, we dive into a specific topic in depth. We think we'll follow that structure. We're not following that structure today. So today, what we are doing, if you've listened to our previous episodes, you know we've already done 16 deep dive episodes. We feel like there's not that much more to dive deep on, but we still want to talk about Onyx Storm. We are also prepping for our season 2 on ACOTAR. So these are just some fun little episodes. Today, we are doing a Marked Ones fantasy draft. So last week, we did an Iron Squad fantasy draft. This week is the same format. We'll get into what that is later. But it is with the Marked Ones instead of the Iron Squad, who we, in general, feel are perhaps a more interesting group to talk about. Maybe a little bit more fun. We'll see.
I think they're more fun.
Yeah. We love them. I truly think every marked one is like fantastic, and I would talk about them for hours. We're coming with receipts. If we have theories, we typically have quotes to back them up. Again, this is probably not going to be a very theory heavy episode, but in general, our theories.
We are still doing Precog Corner, though.
We
so
are
there
still
will be
doing
some.
Precog Corner. We're
Yeah.
still doing corrections, omissions, and social media. So, you know, there's always going to be theories with us, but it's just not as theory focused this
Right.
week. I think that's it for intro. Any announcements?
Just next season, ACOTAR.
Oh, yeah.
So if you plan on rereading ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, our girl, I would start. You don't have to. You can just be along for the ride. I know these
Yeah.
books have been out for quite a while now. So we are going to be covering A Court of Thorns and Roses in the next season, and we're super excited.
And we're going to keep with the same format. So we're not going chapter by chapter.
We're not doing chapter by chapter.
Yeah.
We're doing the same format, similar format. I think it'll be the same vibes.
Yeah, cool. All right. So I sent you an article earlier today. I forgot what it was called, but it was about book boyfriends.
Yeah, and how they're ruining the world.
That was kind of it. It was an article in the Washington Post. I thought it would be interesting. It was about, I think the title was like, "Your perfect man does exist. He's just in a book." And it was about how book boyfriends are becoming more and more prolific. Women are getting more and more excited about these men who exist in books. And it was about kind of the real world consequences of that.
You know what it, honest to God, made me think of? And I'm going to get butchered for this, but I'm going to say it anyways. It made me think of those articles that people wrote about men and adult film, honestly.
Yeah, kind of.
Honestly, that was like the vibe that I got from the headline. Obviously, the article is quite different, and I do want to talk about it. But I was like, huh, interesting parallel that my brain immediately drew here.
I think that's totally fair. Obviously, the difference is there are no real people in this who are being potentially exploited. It's just everyday men having to live up to fictional men, and whether or not that's fair. Right. And I do think the article raises some good questions about that. Yeah. I don't know if you caught this. It really pissed me off. They spelled Feyre's name wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
come on, guys. I made a Washington Post account to read this article.
Did you?
This was a Washington Post article, which I don't like. I don't know.
Not great.
Yeah,
not great. We're not huge fans of the Washington Post, but I did think that it was interesting to read about it. They also described, I'm just going to say the male main character for ACOTAR to avoid spoilers.
Yeah.
They say that he sexually humiliated Feyre, which he absolutely did not do. That is not what happened in that book. Like, context is very important here. And like, clearly they just read the first one and probably didn't even read it because they spelled Feyre's name wrong. And we're just like, oh, this happens.
Yeah.
And that really fucking bothered me, and I felt like was a disservice to this show.
I mean, I do like we have and will talk about like the fact that there are some things that happen in those books that are like a little bit, there are some beginnings that are suspect, and I'm like,
for sure,
like I wish that this wasn't the way this all started. But yeah, like it definitely belittled that character development overall. Yeah.
That really pissed me off. I did think it was interesting. I guess my thought of this is that like, you're in a relationship, I'm in a relationship. Mm-hmm. I feel like these books have actually only like strengthened my relationship and made me really appreciate things about my partner and like the things that he does. Obviously, these men are fictional. We fucking understand that. And we don't even spend that much time talking about the men. I do think it's like the mystery that is much more intriguing, at least for what we're doing.
I mean, I think my honest take on comparing the men of the real world to the men in these books is, like you said, we're both in relationships, like we're both in good, happy, healthy relationships. And these men are fictional and they do not exist in real life because the context does not exist in real life. Like part of what makes these romances so epic is that the stakes are so high and there's magic and people are dying and there's war and there's like big, massive battles. And like that just isn't our everyday life. And so you cannot expect men to do the exact same things that they are in these books. I do think that men should take the good realistic traits that they see in these books and live up to them.
I think men should read these.
Yeah.
I think men should absolutely read these. I think it would be awesome. I've been trying to get Garrick to read them. I understand that he doesn't want to, but like they're a great
putting him on
blueprint.
blast.
Well, the reason he doesn't want to is because I told him what happened. Like he knows that Xaden turned, so he's like, why would I read it? I don't know. It's just such bullshit. Like, you're right. Like, adult films have existed for so long. Yeah. And, like, not that, well, and we don't want to compare these books to porn because they're not porn. But, like, if you're talking about idealistic, unrealistic standards, right?
Yeah.
Like women have been dealing with this forever. And
Yeah.
now we're flipping it on its head and it's existing for men and not
Yeah.
all men, to be fair, not all men. Like, as I said, I think both of us have come to like appreciate more in our partners because of these books. But the idea that some men are like, well, this is not fair. Who could live up to this? This is unrealistic. And it's like, do you understand female beauty standards and what men have done to women for fucking centuries? Like,
Yeah.
give me a fucking break.
And I also just think the things that are to be lived up to within these books are like, I understand the bedroom stuff. Fine. I totally get that part. But the stuff that matters is not the like ancient billionaire, whatever. It's these main characters not overprotecting their women, allowing them to be successful, empowering them, being chivalrous, frankly. And so I think it's way more of a complex social issue than I think is like pertinent to talk about on this podcast right
Absolutely.
now. But I do think there are things in these books that these men embody that should be idolized and are not the same thing as like, you know, living up to unrealistic female beauty standards. So
yeah, no, I think there's a whole interesting conversation to be had here. Again, I agree. I don't think the podcast is the place for it, but
at least not like
or
the
this
intro
episode.
section. Yeah, like we could do like a full. I feel like I could have this conversation for like an hour.
Yeah, and maybe at some point we will do that. What I'm trying to say, I think, is that these books are a good blueprint for how to treat women in a respectful way that is still like sexy and good and everyone feels good about it, rather than I can't talk to women at all or oh, I'm going to be a dick to women, I think is what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah,
maybe not very well, but
I agree with you.
More men should read Romantasy is what I'm getting at.
The men should try it out. Also,
the men should try it out.
Honestly, the men who just think that they're all about like sex, and I'm like, there are maybe 3 scenes that get to that like level of intimacy. Like it's mostly
Absolutely.
plot. So
right. And it's not even with relationship blueprints. Like you said, it's not about the bedroom. It's about the way they treat women in everyday life, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
If you take a page out of the bedroom, that's great too.
It's fine.
Don't
no
mind.
problems there. If you're looking for pointer.
Yeah. Try it out. I agree with you.
I agree with you. All
It
right.
was an interesting read. For listeners, give it a once over. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. I am curious how other people think about this, especially as this genre has been around for a long time and it's only recently become so popular that people are talking about it like in small talk in everyday life. So maybe there are people who have been reading this stuff for far longer than we have that have thoughts on the recent prevalence too.
And there was another article in the New York Times this weekend. I didn't send this one to you, but it was about like, where have all the men gone? Like we miss men and how they treat women. And I think that's a really interesting companion. I read both of them like kind of back to back. I think they're really interesting companion pieces. I think they speak to something larger going on with society here. Again, we won't get into it in this podcast, but like it feels like a shift might be happening. I don't know. We'll see. But they're very interesting pieces. It's interesting to think about it. Yeah. And maybe we're going to get canceled for even talking about this. I don't know. Sorry. I know you guys don't come here for politics. You come here for fun, sexy book talk. But this is the real world. There's real things happening here. Anyway. Corrections, omissions, social media shout out.
Yes. I have a couple just little bitty fun ones. So one listener left a comment on one of our posts about Bodhi. As everybody here knows, I think we have strong suspicions that Bodhi is Venin at the end of Onyx Storm. And Theo M2 commented a very long comment that was well thought out and helpful, but the crux of it was it made me think about Bodhi's second signet and Bodhi's knowing about Xaden's second signet. And this commenter pointed out maybe Bodhi, because his signet is countering signets, do you think he can feel someone wielding a signet against him? And if so, has he ever felt Xaden trying to read his intentions and countered it? Because never once did I think that Bodhi might know about Xaden's second signet because he himself can counter signets and recognize that they are being wielded. But damn, if he can, then he knows everyone's signet.
Yeah. I was thinking about this a little. It's kind of tangentially related to this. Because like I was thinking about Bodhi countering signets and I was thinking about Arc being a precog. And I'm like, how do you counter being a precog, right? Like,
yeah. Because, like, in battle, he will, like, turn it down like he's turning a dial.
Right. I don't know. No. I don't know if Bodhi knows everyone's second signet, or knows everyone's signets.
And maybe he only could know signets that are being wielded, like, against him or, like, into him.
So you think in this scenario, Xaden tried to read Bodhi, Bodhi felt it and countered it. That'd be so dickish on Xaden's part too.
Well, I mean, they were younger together, right? Like Xaden could
Yeah,
have been much less experienced and it was just pushing into everybody by accident.
maybe.
Yeah. No, but if he's a year below, I guess like Xaden wasn't just manifesting for the first time in
Yeah,
Bodhi's presence.
yeah.
So yeah, it would be kind of mean of Xaden to do. But maybe he doesn't always consciously do it. I don't know. But I thought that was interesting. And then the second is more of a shout out. A TikTok user called Trevor Thomas Williams commented something on our post that made me laugh. I actually don't know whether it was an insult or a compliment, but I'm going to read it anyways because I thought it was so funny. Do you know the clip of Jenny Slate where she says, I had to stop following NASA on Instagram because it was making me crazy?
No.
Do you know that? Okay, can you actually take a moment and look up Jenny Slate had to stop following NASA on Instagram? I need Abby to see this before I read the comment.
Is it from Drunk History? Yeah. All right, I found it.
Okay, did you watch it? Okay,
Yes.
so Trevor commented, you know that clip of Jenny Slate where she says, I had to stop following NASA on Instagram because it was making me crazy. They'd be like, here's a pic of a black hole. And I'd be like, ah, that's how this podcast makes me feel.
Oops.
I said, we are so sorry.
Did they unfollow us?
I don't know. I haven't checked whether they still follow us, but I thought that was so funny and also like probably how I would feel watching our own podcast.
Oh my God, I know. There are people who comment, at least on Instagram, like almost every day. And I'm like, what are we doing to your braids? Like, what's happening?
Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I mean, I love them. They're great. I'm really happy with how engaged they are. But I'm also like, oh my God, this is a lot of theories. As we've said, this is basically turned into a speculative fan fiction podcast. It's okay.
Yeah. So thanks, Trevor. I don't know whether you meant that in a positive light or a negative light, but we understand and we apologize.
understand. We're sorry. Okay, I had two. One's kind of in real time because this has to do with the clip we posted today. But the other is from our favorite person ever, Love Bug. Who I'm starting to think, I don't actually think this, please don't, no one go after Love Bug, but I'm like, are you Rebecca Yarros in disguise? Because you know the details of these books so well, like things I have completely forgotten about. And I'm just actually going to try to find her full comment because it's really good. Hold on. All right, so the theory was, the clip that we posted was Melgren, it was that Melgren killed the Elder. So it was our theory from our second Onyx Storm ending episode. My theory was that Melgren killed the Elders because we've been kind of building towards this plotline the whole book of a Tyrandor Navarrian war. We hadn't seen anything come from that. I think this is coming from that. Bug commented, to add to this theory, Halden is already camped on the Tirish border with Navarrian troops because Xaden ignored the order not to accept Peromish refugees and stopped supplying Palladium from the Tirish mines to Navarre. And what better time to strike Orisha than when everyone is off fighting the Venin all the way in Drethus? So she pointed out that we actually have already seen some movements of Navarrian troops. Halden is on the Tirish border. Melgren might be with him. And I completely forgot about this. But yeah, like it's totally, it's just kind of adding fuel to the fire that this could have actually been like Navarre's first move in a war rather than a Venin thing.
Yeah.
So that I really loved. The second, and I don't have anything written down because as I said, this is happening in real time. We posted our clip today of your theory about how the math does not work with Imogen erasing Violet's mind, right? So Imogen took 4 minutes to erase a 10-minute conversation. It would take her.
Agreeing with that one on TikTok.
Oh, really? It's actually doing pretty good on Instagram.
No, it's like people are engaging with it, but they're not agreeing. Like,
well,
okay.
A lot of people were like, well, what if we use, what if she used Sloane? Like, what if they got Sloane involved and Sloane could do it? And I'm like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I don't think they would get a first year involved. Like, I don't think that they would pull in Sloane, but
a siphon.
A siphon, right?
Yeah.
So we're back to Naolan, I think.
I think we talked about that on the episode too. I think it just wasn't in the clip.
Apparently, I have black holes about episodes, and I don't remember anything that we talked about.
Definitely. When we were talking about how it could possibly ever make sense that Imogen could have done this. Actually, somebody brought up an interesting one in our comments. So the siphon one got called out for sure. Sloane got called out, but I was like, Naolan.
Have you heard of Naolan?
Maybe it's Naolan. And then the other one was, we talked a while back about, and this commenter remembered, which actually made me kind of touched. I was like, wow, you've been here for a minute. We talked a while back about Violet seemingly making the people around her stronger. Right. So could she have had an impact? And also, like, what happens if you siphon Violet? I don't know.
No, I think either of those are options. I think the Imogen thing was just us well, it's your theory, so I don't totally know. But to me, it's just us saying there's more going on here. Like, this is not, we cannot take this at face value.
Yeah.
It's either time manipulation or there's more people involved.
Or can the Irids can seemingly do everything. So could the Irids have played a role in wiping her memory? Like, I don't know. It just felt 12 hours of memory felt like a long time for Imogen to have taken care of, given she took 4 minutes to erase Jack's brief experience.
I was not planning to talk about this, but since we're on social media, the Xaden and Garrick clip is also blowing up, like absolutely blowing up on Instagram. Yeah.
Interesting.
And a lot of people are like, no, he was just back. And I'm like, no, he wasn't just back. And also Rebecca literally put this line in. Why would she have put the line in the book? Don't you think I'd be like coming to your bed every night if that wasn't going anywhere? Like every word.
That Xaden and Garrick.
That Xaden and Garrick clip. Sorry. The clip is Xaden or Garrick is sneaking Xaden into Violet's bed. Yeah. Maybe not every night, but a lot of nights.
Yeah. And
everyone's like, no, this like it.
Well, I think people want to believe that it's dreamwalking, and I just don't think, like, we have no other physical, like, I wrote down where everyone was before and after every single dream, and I don't think we have any other times when Violet has seemingly traveled somewhere or the dreamer has traveled somewhere as a result of her dreamwalking.
If it's dreamwalking, wouldn't Xaden wake up next to Berwin? Like, that makes any sense, personally.
I don't know. Maybe she's a novice and just like, I don't think that it's dreamwalking, is my point. But people, I think, want to believe that something like more is happening there, when I think our most realistic options are Garrick distance walked him there, or it's Ned in here. Like, those are the options.
We have literally been given the answer. She wrote it down. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But back to your point on Navarrian forces being on the border, we actually got a question, or not, I don't remember what the exact wording was, but we got a comment on that post wondering whether Tauri could basically be behind the Venin and the timing of that Venin attack on Dreyfus. I'm curious your thoughts, because that obviously means that all of this is kind of everyone versus Tyrandor. And so if Navarrian forces know and are in on and dictating potentially what the Venin are doing, then that obviously is just like Tyrandor never stood a chance, right? Although they did. But I think that makes this whole story so much less complex, at least with respect to Melgren and Tauri specifically, because if it is, like, Melgren is fully allied with the Venin, which I personally don't believe he is, but if he is, then, like, this whole thing becomes so uninteresting. It's just, like, literally Violet against everyone.
It's Star Wars, right? If that's what happens, it's fucking Star Wars, and it's been done. I agree with you. I don't think it's as interesting. And we talked about this because the Sun comment, right? Berwin saying, I have another. People have said, what if it's about King Tauri? What if it's about Halden and Auric? Right. If King Tauri is Venin, there is no war. They've won. Palpatine is the emperor, right? Pointless. And then Tyrandor becomes like a resistance, which they already are, I guess. But it's like, I don't think it's quite as interesting as the Game of Thrones level intrigue we are starting to have now. We have Navarre mad at Tyrandor as a separate political entity. We have Tyrandor fighting with Hiromiel against the Venin. We have the Venin, which are basically the White Walkers. Like, we're getting set up for a very, like Game of Thrones level book. And I'm excited about that. Right. Star Wars is great, but it's not as complex, you know? Yeah. So I agree with you. I hope it's not going that way. That doesn't mean it's not
going that way. Yeah. We'll see. Okay.
Cool.
Shall we draft?
All right. We're doing the draft. So do you want to explain the rules? Or do you want me to explain them?
I can do them this time. We'll see how good of a job I do. Okay. So this is another fantasy draft similar to our last episode, but this episode we are focusing on the marked ones. And so in our pool of characters that we'll be discussing, we have Garrick, Bodhi, Imogen, Sloane, and we are including Liam, even though he's dead, allegedly, but he's dead. So the rules are, we have a series of questions that we've outlined in advance. We're each going to we have picked one character and one backup character to answer each question. We're going to alternate with who gets first pick. Once somebody's picked someone for a category, like if Abby picks Liam for the first question, then I can no longer choose Liam. You can choose a character more than once, but you should be sparing about it. It's a little bit easier to be sparing about it in this one, in my opinion, than in the last one. The last one we had like so many questions and like not really that many characters that had a lot of screen time. So those are the rules. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. Just, I guess, I feel like we should shout out to The Ringer who did this first and is probably doing it better. But this was inspired by what The Ringer does. If you have not checked out their podcast, you should. I love House of R. I would say House of R is the blueprint for this podcast, in my opinion. Like, House of R did it first. They did it better. We're just trying to do what they did for.
Probably bad that I've not listened to that.
You should. You should. I mean, they don't really do books. They do TV shows. But it's two women, Mallory and Joe. They like really, really know their stuff. I think they're great. I mean, they do a lot of Marvel, which I don't really pay attention to, but they do a lot of Lord of the Rings stuff. Like the Rings of Power deep dive was so good. Yeah. So shout out to House of R. Great podcast. All right. We're going to dive into it. All right. And these are pretty similar questions to last week, but we have a couple different ones. So who is the most powerful Marked One?
My first pick for this is Garrick. I just think in terms of signets and politics alone, like Garrick is an air wielder and he's a pretty powerful one. Like air wielding doesn't get a lot of airtime with him, but like he is pushing. That was not intended to be a pun. Air wielding we don't get tons of visibility into his air wielding, but it is pretty powerful. Like he can push the air around his dragon. He can make himself fly faster. And we've seen really powerful air wielders through Venin, so we have reason to believe this is super powerful. He's also a distance wielder, which is like the sickest signet ever, in my opinion. Like he can literally walk across the continent in 30 seconds, which is crazy. And also carry people and his dragon while doing it. Like literally he just like grabs on to Chadra and just walks and then he's somewhere else.
Do you think he pushes him up over his head? Do you think he like drags his tail or like
if the Venin hold hands and then step, I think he like grabs a wing or
he's just holding
tail.
On to it.
Yeah, just like touching him, I think. I've not thought too hard about how, like, the craziest moment for me, even though we knew that Garrick distance walked his dragon before this, was when he picked up Imogen and Quentin. Just like, I picture a literal Hulk, just like, okay, like gathering up two people and like walking. Crazy signet. But even apart from his signet, his dragon, Chadra, is particularly sensitive to runes and can locate basically any item with runes. And we don't really talk about this one much, but I feel like that will matter later.
I think so. Yeah.
Like that can't have just been exposed so that he could like know what that lure was. That doesn't seem right. He's Xaden's right-hand man and his father was Fenn's right-hand man as well. So that might get him into trouble now, but I think like previously and potentially going forward, that he's like super politically well positioned. And I suspect that his family line also has respect amongst the people of Orisha for that same reason. Like his father was, you know, high up in rank and respected by nobility. So my vote is Garrick.
And we don't know anything about his mother, right?
We don't know anything about his mother, but I would like to.
So sad. So sad that all these people are orphans. It's so sad.
I know. It's really sad.
Oh, it's fucking devastating. Garrick was my second pick.
Okay. Who's your first pick?
Only at Bodhi. And really only because Bodhi at the very least is nobility by birth. And we have talked about how he might actually be the heir of Tyrandor and not Xaden. Go back to our Xaden episode if you don't know what we're talking about. But basically, it's very sketchy on whether or not Fenn is actually the rightful heir of Tyrandor or if Bodhi's mother should have been the rightful heir of Tyrandor. Also, wait, just to add to your Garrick thing before I forget about this, obviously I just read Throne of Glass and like this is not really a spoiler for Throne of Glass, but like Rowan's signet basically is wind wielding, right?
Yeah,
and Rowan is really fucking
powerful.
crazy.
Yeah. Do
you think Garrick will be able to suck the air out of people's lungs? I think so.
So I kind of think we didn't talk about this enough when we talked about the 6 most powerful signets. I am really struggling to believe that it's truly aligned to the signet because it seems like the dragon and the rider are what makes a signet crazy or uncrazy. Like these really like standard signets, like air wielding and fire wielding, like it seems like if the dragon is crazy powerful, then that signet is still crazy powerful. Like there's no reason for me to believe that Garrick couldn't create a tornado if he wanted to.
Yeah.
It's with wind.
Yeah. And how come some people get like parts of weather, but Theophany just gets all weather? Like what's with that? And Lilith, I guess. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, cool.
And also, what quantifies as weather? Like, are we just limited to like thunderstorms and tornadoes, or do we get like earthquakes and tsunamis? Like, where's the line? I mean, she's dead now, so I don't know.
Sorry, I was just thinking of that line that's like Violet says something to Malik and the sky darkened in acknowledgement. Like, is there also a Garrick Malik tie through that? I don't know. Anyway, just my brain doing things, ping-ponging around. Yeah, so I picked Bodhi, and he just barely edged out Garrick. Honest to God. I mean, I think Garrick might be the answer here, but if Bodhi is nobility, we know Bodhi's nobility. If he's the heir of Tyrandor, that obviously adds a political element to this. If he's the brother, it might not matter. But that was an interesting angle. Countering signets, as we talked about in Corrections Omission social media, might be an insanely powerful signet. And we don't know his second signet. That is still up in the air. We definitely think he has one. If it's invisibility, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Even if it's not invisibility, if he has a second signet, that makes him very powerful on top of his very powerful first signet. So right. I like Garrick, though. I think there's more to talk about with Garrick, but my first pick was Bodhi.
I love him. He gives me the vibe of like...
Are you talking about Bodhi or Garrick?
Garrick.
Oh, I thought you were talking... Okay.
I obviously really like Bodhi, but I
know that this is not canon. I know that Garrick is a brunette. I know that. But in my mind, he's blonde. And I can't fix it. Like,
Garrick
I don't know.
Does sound like a blonde name.
Yeah. What does that mean? What do those words mean?
I don't know. It just does. But yeah, he definitely is brunette. I picture him as having similar coloring to Dane, though.
In my mind, he's blonde and has blue eyes. And I know he's brunette and has hazel eyes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Can I tell you something? I thought I was so funny. I don't know if you saw this on Instagram, but it was the clip we were talking about before about Garrick sneaking Xaden into Violet's bed. Mm-hmm. And someone commented, I don't remember what they commented, but I responded. I said, oh my God, maybe this is why Garrick calls Xaden Teddy Bear, because he's sneaking him into Violet's bed every night to sleep with her. I thought I was pretty fun. All right. So yeah, I think Garrick is the correct answer here, but we'll see. Which is funny because he doesn't get
now Venin, then that could tip the scales.
Well, it definitely feels like Bodhi gets more screen time, but Garrick is kind of more interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the distance wielding thing is just fucking crazy.
It's insane.
It's just fucking crazy.
Also, the fact that he's, like, just massive in general. Like, he, like, dwarfs Xaden in terms of breadth. And then just to picture him being like, okay, guys, and then just, like, teleports, basically. Like, what is going on here?
No, it's, like, big Hercules vibes.
Okay.
All right.
Abby, whose signet would be the worst to accidentally wield during sex?
All right, whose signet would be the worst to accidentally wield during sex? Imogen's memory erasing, I think, would be pretty bad. Like, it could be very bad.
That was my second, and my literal writing was, it would be hilarious and sad. Suddenly this guy is like, wait, why am I here?
Yeah, right. Like, yeah. Yeah. It's funny because both of my picks were Imogen's signets. Because I'm like, memory erasing would be bad. Earth wielding, also potentially very bad.
Also potentially very bad. Yeah. I laughed so hard at the thought of Garrick accidentally distance wielding and just suddenly being like hundreds of miles away. So my pick would be Garrick, if not Imogen, because imagine just like, you know, doing your thing and then suddenly, where am I? It's actually the same thing, kind of.
Yeah. Actually, yes, it is the same thing.
The thought that you have is, where am I? Just in one situation, you've not moved, and then in the other situation, you have.
And they're gonna have sex, so, like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah. Like,
oh my God.
Hopefully Garrick is able to remember where he went.
Oh, man. I hope we get the Imogen POV for that. Anyway. I mean, that would be fun if we're getting more POV chapters and we get more. I feel like that is maybe the way this will go, because, like, we've covered a lot of ground with Xaden and Violet. Like, I don't know.
I hope we get more POVs. I agree. Yeah. I hope we get more Xaden in the book. Like, I want more Xaden in the book.
I think we have to. I don't think we can go a whole however long it takes for her to find him. Like, without Xaden, like, that's, I don't know. But then I worry that we're going to get into, like, oh, it's going to be like 5 fucking POVs, and it's going to be the thing where every time you think something's going to happen, we have to wait for like 4 other chapters. And I don't know. We'll see.
So next question was, who is most likely to die?
And you have the first pick.
Yeah, I have the first pick.
Ronnie, who is the most likely to die?
I refuse to believe that any of them die. However, I see Bodhi dying to protect Xaden. Is my first pick. And I don't really have any more to elaborate on than that. His sole purpose is serving his cousin and his province. He does not want to rule it So what does that leave? Dying for it, probably.
Yeah, I agree. My first pick was Bodhi, so I guess I'm not supposed to talk about it. But the only thing I would add that you didn't put was how fucking reckless he was during the Battle of
Yeah,
Dreyfus.
insane.
Like,
Ridiculous.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, clearly, I think Imogen even says, like, he has a death wish or something. Like, it's
he does not
good.
realize the importance
Yeah.
of
My second pick, and again, I don't think any of them die. My second pick was Garrick, but only by process of elimination because Liam's already dead, and I don't think Sloane's gonna die because Liam's dead, and I don't think Imogen's gonna die because I will fucking revolt if Imogen die. No, I just think Imogen doesn't seem like a character that's gonna die.
Yeah.
So it was Garrick by process of elimination, but really I think it's Bodhi.
So I know we're not supposed to talk about our other picks, but my other pick was actually Imogen. Also by process of elimination, but like for some reason I just thought that she was more likely than Garrick. But I guess they could be interchangeable. This is like super picky of me, but it's not like a typical romance writing style to kill off the man someone has been pining after. But it is not uncommon to kill off the one pining and having that pined after character end up with someone else instead, like a la Les Miserables.
That would be so fucking terrible.
Terrible.
I would die. Like,
terrible. Would be terrible. But that's why
I don't even have
when I was thinking about Garrick versus Imogen, that was what popped into my head. Like, there's no way that Garrick just dies and then Imogen like never got to tell him how she felt.
That would both be terrible. Also, like when you were, I thought Imogen and Garrick were hooking up. But then I think it's pretty clear they're not. She's never right. Quinn says you
Quinn
should tell
says
him.
You need to find some happiness.
Right. So Xaden knows because he can read Imogen's mind.
Correct.
Yeah.
Also,
okay. So
we can all
Xaden is just reading people's minds. So maybe he is reading Bodhi's mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he at least read it to make sure that it wasn't him that she was pining after, I guess. Because that is how he describes it, right? He, like, because Violet loses her shit and she's like, is it Imogen? He's like, just remove me from the equation.
Right.
And what do you see? And she's like, oh.
So do the marked ones know about Xaden's second signet? No, he says no one knows.
He says no one knows.
Yeah.
I think Bodhi might know, but he says no one knows.
Jeez, that's a tough conversation. Yeah. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot to say at the end of this episode about how much explaining Xaden may have to do at some point.
Well, yeah, because it's tough too, because Imogen is all like to Violet, like you have to accept that he's going to have some secrets. But I wonder if Imogen would feel that way if she knew that those secrets were also impacting her.
And like even like Xaden and Violet have so many arguments about like Xaden being full disclosure and like telling her everything, and he only ever gets to the point where he says, I will not withhold anything that affects your agency. Like Xaden does not commit to being forthcoming with even Violet, and if not Violet, then like certainly nobody else.
Well, he's clearly not forthcoming, right? Like this whole book was him plotting and keeping secrets.
Yeah. Interestingly, the person he seems to have been the most open with was Brennan.
Well, and Arik, but we never get those conversations. But yeah.
I don't even know if they were conversations.
You think they were just, boop, mind to mind?
I think like maybe Arik had a plan and Xaden was just reading the plan.
Oh my god, wait, so they might not have been...
I don't know that Arik is in on what's going on here. I mean, I think he probably sees, but like I don't know that they ever had a conversation with each other. Like, here's what's going on. I think Arik sees things. Xaden is Venin and can read minds now. Xaden is seeing what Arik is seeing, and that's like how this has all been going down.
That's fascinating. So they might not have been working together at all.
Intentionally. No. Which was a primary piece of the argument for if Xaden does resent the person who became his brother, like maybe they just were never actually friends. He was just using him. That's the complicated loyalty.
Right. I mean, I guess I assumed they were working together because they had that whole joke about Violet being a Duchess. Damn.
This is how I've been thinking about it the whole time. So maybe I'm sorry that I didn't explain it previously.
Wow. Okay.
When would they have chatted? The opportunity didn't really present itself.
Isn't Xaden like fighting with Violet at the beginning of the book and he like disappears sometimes? Or is that an Iron Flame?
Definitely an Iron Flame. But I think he did have a good amount of away time in Onyx Storm too, related to the Cenarium stuff. But like Arik was going pretty far away from the Cenarium because they would recognize him as Cam.
Great questions all around. All right. Look, we are getting into
To
theory.
go there, but here we are. What are we on? Most likely to die.
We did that. We think that. Bodhi.
We think Bodhi.
But we don't really think anyone's going to die.
We don't really think anyone's going to die. That just feel like the most tragic thing that could happen is people turning, not people dying. Who would be the best wingman or wingwoman?
Are you asking me in
Yeah.
my first pick? Okay,
Your
Liam. Liam is the answer. No hesitation
Really?
on that one. Feel like Liam is a wingman in this book. I feel like Liam's number one role is actually
Wingman,
Zayden's wingman. Yes.
Interesting. I mean, he did, yeah, but I guess he did like basically sell Violet on Zayden.
Yeah, like
Fourth Wing.
he's talking Zayden up the whole time. Like the whole time.
That's
and
so
Zayden
funny.
trusts Liam to not sleep with Violet. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Liam is a good answer. For me, the obvious answer was Garrick because he's putting Zayden into Violet's bed
Oh yeah.
every night.
Yeah,
Liam
but
is
Garrick
a better like technical wing. Like if you're defining wingman as like someone who's helping someone land someone else,
yeah.
then Liam
Yeah.
did more of that. Garrick was more enabling them
Yeah.
once they were already together. So Garrick would be my pick. I like the other note that I had after Garrick and Liam was the rest would all be genuinely terrible wing women and wingmen.
Well, I was just thinking that Zayden's a terrible wingman because he's not helping Imogen out with Garrick at all.
Yeah.
Unless he knows Garrick's not into Imogen because he's reading him his attentions. That would suck. That would suck.
That's a good point. Zayden does absolutely nothing to help Imogen out. But maybe he also knows that, like, if you set up your friends, like, you could have really catastrophic consequences if they don't kind of find their own way.
That's true.
So I was actually laughing at Bodhi basically being a reverse wingman because he gave Violet his flight jacket and then Zayden flipped his shit.
Right, and Zayden knows, now we think Zayden knows that Bodhi has a crush on Violet, right? So that's why he flipped his shit.
Yeah, so.
Bodhi.
It's tough to be a good wingman when everyone's in love with Violet.
If Garrick is into Violet and he is sneaking Zayden in.
Oh, I don't think Garrick's into Violet.
There's like one line. There's like one line where it's implied. It's something around when they're doing signet sparring or something. I feel like there's one line. We talked about it.
Yeah, where he's like impressed by. Oh, and there was also their battle too. When Garrick is training Violet in the sparring like pit, remember? And she like strikes his dagger and he's like, damn, that was crazy.
Kind of. Yeah. No, I have actually no memory of that, but I
I
believe you.
actually loved that scene. It was the first time that Violet ever actually like wielded with any precision. Garrick was fighting everybody using their signet.
Oh, right. And this is when it's all of them. She's with the whole squad, right? Like they
She's
were
with
going to
the
do
whole
it
squad,
one-on-one.
and she strikes. Yeah, she basically was like, you would be dead if I wanted you to be dead. And he was like, haha, you missed. And she's like, did I? And she struck his dagger.
His daggers that were like behind him.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Which is funny because she also, Zayden and her under the tree, Zayden says, you missed. And she says, did I?
Yeah.
And so it's a nice little callback with daggers.
Yeah.
Good job, Rebecca. Good job.
Okay, that one was fun.
That was fun.
So next question we had was, who would you pick to back you up in a back alley fight?
I have the first pick or you have the first pick?
I have the first pick, but I guess
Okay.
I just asked
You
it,
go
so-
first.
Okay. Definitely Garrick. Like, again, it's Garrick. Sorry.
Hear what you're saying, but my gut impulse on this one was Imogen.
She was my second pick. I think she's
Okay.
also a great pick.
Yeah, I think
Like,
she's a great
Imogen is
pick.
more nasty. Like, if you want someone who's going to actually brutalize whoever is advancing, I think Imogen is the answer. Garrick, I think, is more of a pacifist, like, more just going to stand there and be a wall and be like, do not.
Yeah, like kind of like
interfere.
putting the palm up, like
Yeah.
like you're running
Yeah.
against him. Yeah. Oh, this
Yeah.
is fun.
Imogen is like, I will pull out my right hook and that will be how we end this.
Yeah, I will dislocate your shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't know why I went to Imogen, but she was my gut. She's my gut.
She has the I will fuck you up vibes. She definitely does.
She absolutely does.
Yeah.
She absolutely does.
And
we
Garrick
love her
definitely
for that.
doesn't. But Garrick has like bodyguard vibes. Like I would hire Garrick to be my own personal security detail and feel snug as a bug in a rug all the time.
Yeah. 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 Okay, cool. Well, they're perfect for each other is basically what we're saying.
They will be a very safe couple.
Yeah, no one's fucking with them. All right.
The next one I have is, who do you think, you have first pick on this, will play the biggest role in the upcoming books?
Okay. Imogen is my answer once again.
Tell me why.
She gets a POV chapter. I think we might carry that pattern forward. I think she might get more POV chapters. We know she's with Violet at the end, right? So we know even if Imogen does not start to get more POV chapters, she's going to be with Violet. And if Violet continues to get all the POV chapters, just by being with Violet, she will play a big role. She will have a lot to do.
Yeah.
We know she knows something about what happened in those missing 12 hours. We don't know how much she knows. I previously said I don't think she can know everything, otherwise it's pointless to wipe Violet's memory. I stand by that. Her second signet, crazy powerful. We just learned about there's never been an earth wielder before. Apparently she is an earth wielder. So that seems like it's going to play into some upcoming plot lines, especially if, as we mentioned, she can put power back into the earth potentially. I also think we'll get more of her backstory. Like we got that epigraph about her mother and her sister. I think they'll play a big role in all this. I think we're going to learn more about Lilith through them. So I just think Imogen has a lot coming up. She's been set up as too good a character and done too little thus far for it to not pay off more.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly think that those POV chapters were kind of our hints for like, hey, who's about to get a bunch of page time that has not gotten it to date. So I agree. My first pick was Imogen as well. My second pick, I do feel like an obvious one here is Bodhi, but my second pick is Liam because of our theories around Malik. Like if we do have a Malik plot line coming for us, I don't think we're done with Liam.
Oh my God, I'd be so happy.
And like if everyone who dies is dedicated to Malik, commended to Malik in some way, and if Violet is too, then like will we meet him again? I don't think it's out of the question. One person, I'm curious whether you remember us talking about this, because I feel like in some corner of my brain we talked about this, but I sometimes think we talked about things when I just thought about it a lot. Did we ever talk about the possibility of Quinn astral projecting as Liam?
In the cell?
In the cell.
I don't think we've talked about it. I think I thought about that being potentially an astral projection.
Yeah.
But I don't think we talked about Quinn doing it. Yeah.
I don't think, I'll just go back and reread it and see whether I can think of a reason that we can't, but I don't have a great reason that couldn't be true. It just
the only reason it wouldn't be true is because Quinn is now dead, and we never found out it was true. Never circled
back on it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Agree.
Yeah. I had Bodhi for my second pick, but Liam would be so good. I mean, Rebecca said, and we know we can't, hold stock in everything Rebecca says because she has to keep her secrets, and we respect that. But she said that like Liam's not going to come back to life. Like Liam has to stay dead.
He's dead.
But this works with that.
Yeah. Like, if we are going to meet Malik, we could meet Liam.
Have you heard the theories about Liam being a Venin because Violet doesn't know what happened to his body? Like, Xaden's kind of sketchy about what they did with Liam's body.
I have, but he also, like, stopped breathing in front of them.
Yeah.
So, I struggle with it. I have heard about a theory about what happens if you don't burn all of the belongings of the dead, which we know that we still have Liam's figurines.
That he can just, like, wander about. Like, yeah. I've heard that too. It seems like a pretty easy loophole. Like, I want to talk to Lilith. I'm just not going to burn all her shit.
Yeah. But it also seems like it happens far too often.
Right.
Like, I feel like we've seen a bunch of belongings of the dead that people have
Lilith's journals. We have Asher's books. We have Liam's figurines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, dunno. I don't think... I wouldn't appreciate Liam being a Venin. Like, he died because his dragon died. That would feel like the explanation for it would have to be so good for me to like want to believe it.
It would feel kind of cheap. I think Liam being dead is important.
Yeah.
Like it really set the stakes for this book, and it would kind of suck if he wasn't dead. I mean, obviously I hate that he's dead, but like.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. And that also means he's just left Sloane high and dry.
Yeah. A la Brennan.
But Brennan at least Violet and Mira had each other.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, we haven't picked Sloane for a single thing. I don't know if you've noticed that.
I know. I feel bad about it. I mean, maybe it's Sloane. Like, let's give her an honorable mention for the biggest role in the upcoming books because we've not seen a Siphon fully trained, and we know from Kaori that Naelin was super, super powerful. So, I don't know. I know Sloane has a red dragon. The name of that dragon is escaping me. Thort, right. I don't know much about Thor. And part of me thinks that Naelin was mostly powerful because he was a Siphon and had Tarn.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we also don't know if she has a second signet. What color was Liam's dragon? Do we remember?
Red. Day.
Oh, right. But he died. It's not Day.
It's not Day.
Yeah.
Day is dead.
Day is dead. Who would you most like to hang out with?
Like Liam.
Yeah, obviously.
Like, I definitely want to hang out with Liam the most. So the way that I had this question in my notes was, who would you most want to grab a beer with? And my response was, definitely Liam, but maybe a romantic beer.
Oh, yeah, I would love. Yes.
Yeah, but jokes aside, I think it's a testament to how good of a hang Liam is that he's literally babysitting Violet, which drives her absolutely insane. She does not want to be watched after, and she ends up loving him anyways because he's just that great.
I know. It's so sad. Like,
and he's kind of funny.
Liam deserves to be the main character of his own series, and he never will be.
I know, he's dead. Oh, so sad. But yeah.
And like he never got to like fall in love. Like it's just really sad. Like
yeah.
I mean, maybe he fell in love, but like we didn't get to see it.
Yeah. And it certainly doesn't seem like it was fulfilled or requited, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I also had Liam. I would also grab a romantic beer with Liam.
Liam.
My second pick was obviously Imogen.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, still not a good question for us to pick Sloane because she is a miserable wretch, unfortunately. Sloane is a miserable human being in these books.
Know. She needs some growth. She needs an arc. I mean, it's not fair because she's kind of had an arc. She goes from being mean to Violet because of Liam, and then she goes to being like so guilt-ridden because of Lilith that like she never really gets to be a person.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sad.
Okay. All right. Were there more?
No, that was it.
I put as a bonus, if you want to do this, whose signet would be the most fun to accidentally wield during sex.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we can answer that one. You should get first pick, though.
Okay. Ironically, my first pick was distance-wielding.
To where?
Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, I don't know. I think it could be fun. Who knows where you go? But like, if you could control it, again, if you could use it to your advantage, you know, like all of a sudden you're like on a beach or on the Eiffel Tower or something.
Yeah, I mean, of the signets we have available, so let's just like, for the sake of this question, we've got distance wielding, air wielding, signet-countering, earth wielding, memory erasing, siphoning, ice wielding, and farsight. Like,
what are you gonna do with farsight?
Have a good pool of signets to choose from here.
Yeah, kind of unfortunate. Maybe the wind wielding could be fun though.
Yeah.
If Garrick can do with wind what Xaden can do with shadows in terms of turning them into like
exploding
ropes.
Out around you? Oh.
No, like
but that's what
using them to touch.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay. I could get behind that. I'm trying to think what I would actually pick. None of these are really speaking to me, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough one. That's why it was a bonus question.
Maybe I'll flip Riddick on its head and say maybe ice wielding with Liam could be fun. And if you're into like a winter
I do think
Wonderland
Liam would be
vibe.
the most fun in bed, like for sure. Like as a person.
Yeah. Agree.
All right. I didn't know this about myself until this episode, but like, yeah.
That you were Team Arik and Team Liam hardcore.
Yeah, I might have a blonde thing.
Arik is not blonde.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Yeah, in my mind, he's like golden. But yeah,
hold on. I need to look up some Arik fan art. I really thought he was like a lighter brunette. But these people are also 20, which is insane.
I know.
Sandy brown with green eyes. That's actually a great combo, in my opinion.
Okay, so like this one, I don't know how to show you what I'm seeing. Oh, I can present. Should I share my screen?
Sure.
Are people gonna see this?
I mean, they definitely will see it.
All right, so like this one. Like, would we call that blonde?
No, I think that's Sandy brown.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Or like this one. Yeah, okay, that is brown. All right, you're right. All right, cool. I know things about myself
that
again.
Looks also suspiciously close to what I thought Dane looked like. Hold on, let me find Dane.
I mean, this is all fan art.
Okay, yeah, this is...
Yeah, that's Dane.
What I picture as Dane, and also that is what I picture as K.L. Westfall.
Yeah.
Like, they're the same in my head.
Oh, they're very similar. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that was fun.
That was fun. All right.
Precog Corner.
Precog Corner. You want to go first? I went first last time.
Sure. Once again, I struggled to tie this to the characters in this episode, so it is loosely tied. So we're just gonna roll with it. Okay. My Precog Corner theory is this is pretty out there. Okay.
Mine's also pretty out there. It's
bear
gonna be
with
okay. Yeah.
Fen is alive and he is being contained at Biscaeth. Stay with me for a moment. Okay. We talked at length when we were talking about the ending of Onyx Storm about a quote from Panchek and Berwyn. Panchek says, "I'm the only one who can give you access to your son." And Berwyn says, "I have another." You pointed out that it was super weird that he said another, not others. We started talking about paternal lines, okay? Jen commented on our TikTok, not our Jen, another Jen, and said, when he said I have another, I thought he meant another person who can give me access to my son, not I have another son. So I took this and ran with it, ran basically a marathon with it. And here's where I ended up. Okay, I'm going to go slowly because this took me a while to thread together, and I don't know if it's going to make sense to you or to listeners. So just tell me if I'm not explaining it well. Berwin, if this is true, right? Berwin has someone else who can give him access to his son. Someone who has the same level of access to things at Basgaeth as Panchek, because that is where Panchek has access to things. Lilith and Varish are dead, which basically leaves Atos and Melgren as those potential someones of the people that we know. And it means the sun is at Basgaeth. So here's the thing, you pointed this out, right? The son Panchek is talking about can't be Jack, because Jack was taken back to Orisha after the whole fiasco with Theophany. So let's come back to our theory that Berwin is Xaden's grandfather, which we have good reason to believe since he was a rider, but he didn't make it to graduation. Berwin has a tanned arm and has held the sword of Tyrandor in one of the dreams. If that's the case, there's really only one option we know of who could be a literal son, and that is Fen Ryerson. Could Fen have known, the end is coming, the knowledge of the reason behind the Tyrrish rebellion needed to live on? Could he have channeled to protect himself from what he knew was the proper method of execution, and that was dragonfire? Has he just been preserved this entire time in captivity at Basgaeth? This would probably mean, I don't know if probably, but I think this opens the possibility that Xaden knows and has known this the whole time. And that's a really damning thing, which is why I went back to what he told Violet and was I won't withhold any information that affects your agency. This would also explain why Xaden knows so well that the Venin want him. He's this is my family. I'm in this.
Okay. I think you explained that very well. I also thought about Panchek and the son being Fen, right? Because as you've talked about, we thought that Berwin is Grandpa Ryerson, which means that Fen has to be the son. Right.
There's no other sons.
I thought about this. I came to kind of a similar place, but I went from it in a different direction. We don't know Panchek's signet. I don't know if this works. I don't know if this works. But what if Panchek can commune with the dead?
Talk to the dead.
What if that's his signet?
Yeah.
And that's why he's saying it has nothing to do with Basgaeth. He's saying I'm the only one who can give you access to your son because I'm the only one who can talk to the dead.
Yeah. Also possible.
The I have another is a question then. Someone said, and maybe I was misinterpreting, but someone was what if it's Atos? What if Atos is Fen's brother? Which I think would be kind of crazy. I don't think we've had any explanation for that.
Yeah.
Which
that
would
also
make
mean that Dane and Xaden are cousins.
Dane and Xaden are cousins, yeah.
Which
I don't think that works.
Feels very unlikely.
I like your theory more. I don't know. That's wild though, that Fen would be because
it would be wild. It's out there. 100%.
Dragonfire is not the only way dragons can kill people, right? So if if the dragonfire didn't work, the alloy was around for one. They could stab him with the alloy.
Yeah. They still would have been able to kill him, but would they have wanted to? If this is true, I do not believe that Fen is free. I think he's
no, of course not,
in captivity or something and being kept alive the way that Jack was.
I just don't think Xaden could have known. Xaden would have done anything, don't you think, if he knew to get him free?
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe the part about Xaden knowing is completely irrational because I can go back and look at how he speaks about his father, but it's generally with enough mourning that, especially after he channeled, he would have done anything to find him if he knew.
Yeah, but you're right. If Berwin is Grandpa Ryerson, then it has to be Fen. Fen has to be the one. So then what does it mean I can give you access to your son? Intriguing. I like the idea.
What other ways could you have access to Fen? I guess you already mentioned talking to the dead.
Right. And then I have another, either means there's just someone else who can talk to the dead or he has another son. It still is open. I like that I have another, meaning I have someone else who can give me access because we think Atos is definitely Venin.
Yeah. There's also a bunch of we definitely get comments about this is Tauri, he's talking about Alec, quite a lot.
Alec.
Yeah, basically saying Alec didn't die at threshing when Xaden killed him and he channeled or something like that. I don't know. I don't really buy it.
Some people have to be dead.
Yeah.
Everyone can't just be.
I think Liam is dead. Liam's definitely
people
dead.
think Liam's a Venin. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. What is your Precog Corner theory?
Mine is also takes a couple steps. So I'm also going to try to explain it. Let me know if I'm doing a bad job. It's actually about Sloane. It's actually about Liam and Sloane. So I once again looked up names. And the name Mairi, it has Scottish Gaelic origins, like many things in this book. And it has two distinct meanings. The first one is bitter, which I think in the context of Sloane makes a lot of sense, right? Sloane is very bitter towards Violet about Liam's death. The second one means of the sea. So I want to talk through this a little bit. We have kind of lightly touched on the idea, I think, of Irids coming from the sea on this podcast. We got a comment on Instagram from a woman named Elise, and basically the gist of it was, do you remember Heaton, the character Heaton?
Vaguely, yeah.
They're third year marked one in fourth wing.
Yep.
Their signet
dies, right?
No, they're alive. Heaton is alive at the end of Onyx Storm, which I actually forgot. I thought they had died, but they are one of the marked ones who's guarding Jack in the cell. So Heaton is alive.
Okay.
Heaton has a signet that allows them to breathe underwater. Right. We find that out during when they're trying to steal the map from Lil's office for War Games. So Heaton is able to breathe underwater. When we meet the Irids, Elise points this out, it sounds like the Irids almost crept out of the water. Like when we meet them, they are in the water.
Right.
And Darna is always trying to go in the water when they're in the Isles, right? And Taryn is like, I don't want to deal with with your wet scales, right? Like, and Darna is always trying to go into the water. Taryn keeps scolding her about how close she gets and trying to stay out of it. So Elise was like, this seems really curious to me. She pointed out, if signets are based on need, what possible need could Heaton have to breathe underwater? Like, why does that make sense? How could that possibly fit in here? I remembered Heaton is constantly changing their appearance. So Heaton's hair changes, like they always have flames in their hair, but they're either dyed red, green, purple, or magenta, depending on when they are. So that seems to me to be like an Irid comp, right? Like Heaton is constantly changing their appearance. Heaton can breathe underwater. Kind of sounds like the Irids to me. We've talked about the vibrancy of the waters on the Isles, and we know the people of Hedotus are sketchy as fuck about the water, and they're scared of the water, and we think it's basically being overrun by Venin. So, in conclusion, do the Irids come from the water, right?
Yeah.
That's question number one. What does this have to do with the Mairis, you may ask me? You've talked about this, right? The Mairi family crest being used as a lure in Resin, right? So Liam's dragon is like, oh, there's like a heavily ruined box in that clock tower. It has Liam's family crest on it, right?
The family crest box was the crate of Mayorsight, not the lure.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
But there is a box with Liam's family crest on it, right?
Yep.
Right. I wrote the box in Resin that's used to lure the Venin has Liam's family crest on it that we speculate has Mayorsight in it, and that Liam's family had something to do with the discovery of. So yeah, everything. Could Liam's family, could the Mairis also be somehow tied to the Irids, to the sea? And the Venin know that. And that is why that box was kind of a lure for them. Like that's why they were going after Resin, because they were trying to find out whatever ties to the Irids there were in that box. And it was a booby trap, right? I mean, it was basically a bomb. Like someone planted that box there.
How do you connect the Mairis to the sea?
Because Mairi means of the sea.
Oh, right. Mairi means of the sea.
Yeah. Mairi means of the sea. So like, did the Venin see that box or know about that box, think, okay, this has something to do with the Irids, which we know Theophany is like desperately looking for, right? And was it actually was Resin actually kind of a booby trap for the Venin? Were they going to go after that box and then the Mayorsight was going to explode? I don't know. I think that's an interesting separate question. But my deep dive pondering down multiple trains of thought here is, are the Mairis somehow tied to the Irids as well?
I just had a strange thought. It's not super related, so I can hold it. Well, actually, it's directly related. So at Resin, what triggered it is you said that was a booby trap for the Venin. There was a lure, and then there was a crate of Mayorsight.
Yeah.
With Liam's family crest on it. Who organized War Games?
Atos.
And they, I figured the accepted explanation was Atos sent them to Resin, placed
to die.
To die. Place that there to get the Venin to come there so that they would die. Why the fuck is Atos planting something with a Mairi family crest on it?
I don't think it was Atos. I think there's a third player here that we don't know about yet. But I do think...
But then how would Atos
maybe
known?
It was Lilith. But no, Lilith didn't know. But Yeah, like there's just a box full of explosives in the middle of the clock tower where they're trying to lure the Venin. Doesn't that seem like a trap? Seems like a trap to me.
The explosives was in the outbuilding across the street, and the lure was in the clock tower. However, like it's same situation, right? Like there are explosives, and there's a lure to get Venin to a specific place that Atos clearly knew about because he sent them there, but seemingly was not the owner of at least the crate of Mayorsight.
There might
How
be
did
a
that get
third
there?
player here. Someone who knew that Atos was going to lure the Venin, but was still trying to defeat the Venin. I don't know who that would be. Isaac Mairi would be an interesting guess.
Yeah, Isaac
I don't know.
Mairi, who was executed in private for reasons unknown.
No, yeah, but that just kind of like once we started talking through the box with it, I was like, wait, no, this is a booby trap. This isn't like Mayorsight's like highly unstable, right? Like we know that Violet thinks that when she falls back on it, when she's fighting Theophany, she thinks it's going to explode. So it's not like it needs fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we still don't have an explanation for either. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a good one.
Anyway, that was my precog theory. All right, what are you reading?
The same thing I was last week. However, so I had another thing to talk about. So for everyone, I'm finishing up my reread of ACOTAR 1, A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I also am a couple chapters into One Dark Window. I saw a musical called Hadestown. Have you heard of this?
Probably, but
Oh
I
my
don't know
gosh.
anything about it.
Gotta go. It was so good. Actually, so good. And it's like kind of, I didn't realize this before I saw it, but now that I have seen it, it has like randomly a cult following. So it follows the story of, you're familiar with the story of Hades and Persephone, right? Like Hades is the ruler of the underworld, Persephone is his wife. His wife, like when she comes down to hell, then it's fall and winter up here. And then when she comes up for half the year because her mother wants to see her, spring and summer. The play follows this character named Orpheus. Are you familiar with Orpheus from Greek mythology?
Like I know the name, but I don't remember the details.
He's like a musician, poet,
right,
lyricist, whatever. And this woman he falls in love with named Eurydice. And I think going into the musical, you know the story of Orpheus coming in, so you know how it's going to end, but it's still like so good. And the music is so good. And I highly recommend to anybody who hasn't seen it. But it's been out for a long time. It's been out for like 5 years.
So Hades and Persephone are like listed as inspiration for ACOTAR.
Are they?
Like, yeah, like Feyre is Persephone, and I'm not going to say any more than that. But yeah,
interesting. But she doesn't leave except for when
I don't know. We
dies.
might have to dig into it a bit more in our deep dive episodes. But
yeah,
that's something that always comes up. I think it's more that the male main character and who he is and what he represents.
Yeah, and I actually really like that because I think Hades is accepted by like people think that hell in Western culture is like by default bad, but I think like Hades is not actually the ruler of hell. He's the god of the underworld. So it's just like, you know,
right.
It's more neutral than people
like Malik. Like he's not the devil. Right.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. What are you reading?
I have reserved from the library. I actually reserved One Dark Window because you said you were going to read it. And I said, that sounds fun. And then I got completely suckered by one of those Instagram posts where they just give you random quotes from a book. And I think there was some fan art too. I haven't started it yet. I read like a preview, but it's a book called Amarantha. What? No, sorry, it's not that. No, it's not. It's like, called Anathema. Sorry.
Is she writing Sarah J. Maas royalty checks? What is going on?
No. Sorry. As you can tell, I've been deeply rereading ACOTAR this week. No, it's a book called Anathema. I think that's how you pronounce it. I've watched a TV show with a character named Anathema. That's how they pronounced it on the TV show. And it is definitely romantasy, but I think it's much, much, much darker than any of the romantasy books we've covered, which I'm kind of excited about.
Interesting.
But I got totally suckered by it. Was literally like fan art and a quote. And I was just like, I want to read this book. This looks good. I want to read this book.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be fun. I'll report back. I'll let you know if I think you'll like it.
Yeah, let me know. I don't have...
But it's more like, it's gothic. It's like gothic romantasy, I guess.
Cool. All
right. We are on social media, Dragons in the Details Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We are also on Discord. We have a Dragons in the Details Pod server, which has been really fun. I think we're going to get a Google Doc going with like a book recommendation list. One of our people on Discord reached out to me and she was going to put that together. And I think I owe her a response. I apologize. But it's going to be a little TBR from people who listen to this podcast. That'll be fun.
Yay.
we'll
Probably
add that
good.
to our link tree. Yeah, it'll be good for me. I have
Yeah.
no idea what to read.
Honestly.
Yeah. Other than that, our email, dragonsandetailspod@gmail.com. We love to hear from you guys. It's always super fun. And I think that's pretty much it. Anything else?
No. Thanks for listening.
Thanks
See
for
you
listening.
next
Love you.
week.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.